In the 20th century, a time marked by wars, totalitarian regimes, and profound suffering, God raised a man who would become a beacon of hope for the world. St. John Paul II, a man who survived the horrors of Nazism and communism, a pope who inspired millions, shattered walls of oppression, and led the church into a new millennium. This is his story. Born Karol Józef Wojtyła on May 18, 1920, in Wadowice, Poland, his life was marked by suffering from an early age. His mother died when he was just 9 years old. His brother Edmund, a doctor, died when Karol was 12, and by 20, his father had also passed away. Left alone in the world, Karol turned deeply to God, finding in faith the family he had lost on earth. When Nazi Germany invaded Poland, Karol worked in a quarry to avoid deportation and secretly studied for the priesthood. Attending seminary classes was an act of courage. It was illegal and punishable by death. But he refused to let evil define his life. "Do not be afraid," he would later tell the world, a phrase he lived even in his youth. Ordained a priest in 1946, Karol was deeply beloved by his parishioners, especially the youth. He would take them on hiking trips, kayaking adventures, and camping, always blending joy, deep faith, and companionship. Under communist rule in Poland, religion was suppressed, churches were monitored, and priests were watched. But Father Karol wasn't intimidated. He preached boldly, encouraged faith, and helped people see that no government could ever replace God. In 1958, he became the youngest bishop in Poland at 38 years old, and by 1967, he was made a cardinal. He became a symbol of spiritual resistance against communism, standing up for religious freedom, human dignity, and truth. On October 16, 1978, the world witnessed history. Cardinal Wojtyła was elected pope, taking the name John Paul II, the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. When he stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, he said the words that became his legacy: "Do not be afraid." Open wide the doors to Christ. His impact was global. He traveled to 129 countries, more than any pope in history. He was instrumental in the fall of communism, especially in his homeland of Poland. He inspired the creation of World Youth Day, drawing millions of young people to the faith. He met with world leaders, promoted peace, defended the unborn, the dignity of marriage, and the role of the family. On May 13, 1981, during an audience in St. Peter's Square, John Paul II was shot by an assassin. Miraculously, he survived. He credited Our Lady of Fatima for saving his life, the same day as the Fatima anniversary. In an incredible act of forgiveness, John Paul visited the man who tried to kill him and forgave him face to face. "Mercy is the greatest gift of God," he often said. In his later years, Parkinson's disease took its toll. Despite his frailty, he continued to lead the church, showing the world that suffering has meaning when united with Christ. Even in weakness, he remained a strong father to over 1 billion Catholics. On April 2, 2005, as the Divine Mercy Chaplet was being prayed in St. Peter's Square, John Paul II passed into eternity. His funeral was one of the largest in history, with the world crying out, "Santo Subito," Saint now. And indeed, he was canonized a saint in 2014. St. John Paul II taught us that faith conquers fear. Love is stronger than hate. Forgiveness can change the world. The future starts today, not tomorrow. St. John Paul II, his life challenges us to be courageous witnesses of the faith, to stand for truth, to fight for human dignity, and above all, to never be afraid. St. John Paul II, pray for us.